David Reinbacher, everybody! He did it! The Laval Rocket have just defeated the Belleville Senators in overtime, and the defense, oh boy, they put on a clinic today. Now, before we get into the good news, the bad news is the Laval Rocket, they ended up losing out on Trudeau. He left the game. The rotation was going on between 5 defensemen for the remainder of the contest, so, of course, we wish for all Montreal Canadiens prospects to be able to recover properly and not have any sustained time off due to injury. But even in the absence of Trudeau, we still had David Reinbacher put on a show as he scored himself his very first AHL goal to tie the game up 2-2 with 9 minutes to go in the third period. Now, the goal was beautiful. You can kind of see it here on the video. David Reinbacher is the furthest most right white jerseyed skater, and he steals the puck at the center ice line and then chips it to himself, dangles by the defenseman at the Belleville blue line, and then walks right in on a 2-on-1 and snipes it far side. And the commentator freaks out. Habs fans are freaking out. You could see his attitude on the shot there. Yeah, he knows he scored, baby. He knows he's got it going on. And the Laval Rocket tweeted out a video of the clip from behind the goal line. So this is a nice camera angle of David Reinbacher just walking right in and shooting the puck on goal. Very nice far side shot to be able to beat the goaltender Mads Sogard, whom I'm sure most of y'all are familiar with because he has had some NHL time in the past. But Logan Mailloux gets the game-tying goal, and then not Logan Mailloux. Logan Mailloux got the overtime goal, but David Reinbacher gets the tying goal, keeping it 2-2 and then sending the game to extra time. Pretty interesting night today because you had yourselves Canadiens defense prospects putting on a clinic, 1 goal, 1 assist for Logan Mailloux, 1 goal for Reinbacher, and 1 goal for Lane Hudson so far. Yeah, that's right, the BU Terriers are playing right now and Lane Hudson has himself a goal. But when it comes to the David Reinbacher show, yeah, this is what everybody's talking about. It's mostly Reinbacher that a lot of people are putting their focus on. And look, it's not really for any bad reason. He has been so good in his debut with the Laval Rocket. And when it comes to some of the reports that are coming out, here's Grant McCagg's Twitter. He goes out there and pretty much talks about the Reinbacher game throughout the game. First David Reinbacher impression, he's a rangy defenseman. And hey, I'm not going to disagree with that. The guy's a pretty big dude, he's a right-handed player, he's got a long reach, he's got a long stick. Reinbacher on the first penalty kill for the second penalty, he looked solid. He has an active stick and he's not afraid to use it. Here's another tweet made by Grant McCagg. Reinbacher covers a lot of ice. Players aren't getting around him at this level to the outside. He's very mobile and rangy, and he uses his stick very well. He dishes the puck smartly on the rush. Very solid first period of AHL hockey. An NHL scout on Beside said that he didn't look out of place. I agree. And this is one of those things where you start to think about the transition from Europe into the AHL. It's going to be interesting to see how David Reinbacher adjusts because with him being such a long-range, lanky, rangy guy, it's going to be interesting to note how the smaller ice surface of the North American game impacts his effectiveness. If anything, I feel like it would make him more effective because if he's been able to use his range, use his reach, and be able to defend against other competition with more ice to play with, then kind of collapsing the game inwards and bring it more towards him would probably, it would reasonably allow him to be more effective with that stuff, right? Maybe this will increase his defensive capabilities, even though he's only been showing this off in 1 AHL game so far. Grant McCagg then goes out there and talks about, hey, it's a boring game, neither team generating offense. How about that? David Reinbacher scored, and then Logan Mailloux with his assist and inevitable goal. He's going to play in the NHL for a very long time. So David Reinbacher, he had himself a game, man. I don't know what else there is to say about it because there really is a very solid amount of hype for this player from Canadiens fans, and rightfully so, considering that all it took was 1 North American game for us to really acknowledge that he's got talent at this level. I mean, Alex from Habs coverage goes out there and says it pretty much that, hey, you can't really say anything negative about David Reinbacher tonight. Absolutely solid first AHL game, and when you combine this with the rest of the news of Lane Hutson, Logan Mailloux, it becomes very, very easy to buy into what the Canadiens are doing on their blue line. In fact, there was a tweet by, who was it, Renaud Lavoie, I'm pretty sure? Yeah, Renaud Lavoie went out there and tweeted this out, that Kent Hughes will not have to trade or sign a UFA defenseman to make his team better. The Canadiens will have one of the best D-cores in the NHL sooner rather than later. And that's a pretty ballsy tweet, honestly. Like, I get it, Renaud Lavoie pumping the tires of the team that he covers, but that's a big statement. Kent Hughes does not need to get any extra defensemen because they will have one of the best D-cores in the league. And when you think about it like that, it's kind of like, okay, Hutson, Reinbacher, maybe as a first pair, Caden Gooley, and let's say Logan Mailloux as a third pair, and then on the third pair, you can have whomever, let's say Matheson and, I don't know, take your pick, Jaden Struble, Justin Barron. There are a bunch of other names you could toss in there. Jordan Harris, if he sticks around. Lots of good defensemen that are young and up and coming in the Canadian system right now. And today was one of these days where we just happened to see the best out of all of them. So for David Reinbacher, this was a great debut. Let's see what else Renaud Lavoie went out there and tweeted. He tweeted out about the Lane Hutson goal. He talked about the Reinbacher goal, yeah. And then the William Trudeau injury, yeah, here it is from the Laval Rocket. So obviously we wish the best for William Trudeau being able to recover and eventually come back. But for now, I don't think that really matters because David Reinbacher is a 1 point per game player. He's got one goal in one AHL game played. And look, heading into the postseason, hopefully there's going to be a postseason berth for the Laval Rocket. I'm not entirely too sure how it's going to go, though. Let's actually go over to the AHL's website and see what they have to say about that. So if we go over to standings here and we take a look at the... what is their division called? The North Division, yeah. So the Laval Rocket have 62 points in the North Division. They are 6th. I think it should be 64 points now because they won the game. They are still just outside of the playoffs looking in, so it's not looking good, but there are a number of games remaining, and if the Laval Rocket are able to force themselves into that postseason with a guy like Reinbacher supporting Mailloux and Barron, then who's to say that the sky is the limit here? There's so much to look forward to when it comes to these Canadiens, young guys, and if... let's say somebody else gets sent down. Let's say Josh Waugh recovers a little bit early, and then he gets sent down. Let's say Jaden Struble maybe gets sent down too. There's going to be a lot of options here for Kent Hughes to potentially help out the Laval Rocket as they force themselves into some sort of a playoff race. But of course, none of that is guaranteed. They are still a ways away behind in the points race here. I'm not actually too sure how the playoff seeding works in the AHL. It's not like the wild card NHL system, right? But either way, if anybody smarter than me wants to let me know in the comments section how the AHL postseason strategy is going to work, what the Laval Rocket need to do to qualify. Is it like a top 3 in the division kind of thing, or is it a conference thing? Because if you go by conference, the Laval Rocket, they're 11th in the East right now. They have a ways away to go before getting up to 8th, which would be 5 points away. It's a long stretch here, but we'll see if the Laval Rocket and David Reinbacher are able to do it, especially if Reinbacher is able to continue scoring at a goal a game, which is completely unrealistic to hold him up to a standard like that, but he's still doing all right, so I think this is more than fine. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about all the conversations in regards to David Reinbacher and his very first AHL game, wherein he scored a super important game-tying goal before Logan Mailloux sealed the deal in extra time. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.